First off, drinking a nice cold beer right now. You saw the title of the video. We're gonna be going over where the prices of JDM cars are heading right now. I just made a post on Facebook the other day and I figured I could, to do it easily, I was going back and forth with people and I'm like, screw this, I'm just gonna make a video. So the post was on an R34 GTR recently just sold in Japan at auction with 59,000 kilometers on it. I'll flip it up here. Please, if I get any information wrong, here it is. And sold for $500,000 AUD, which comes out to like $364,000 US for a 2002 blue near spec R34. And what's weird about it is people are saying like it's too much. Why would you pay that for a JDM car? It's Japanese. It's not that special. And I keep trying to remind people the JDM market, they're Japanese cars in general, because JDM cars truly have to come and be right-hand drive from there to be JDM. It's called Japanese domestic market for a reason. So with my left-hand drive, Supra is not JDM. But the Japanese market in general, from the 90s, late 80s, and into the early 2000s, because the NSX and a couple other cars are gonna be worth some serious money. They are the next 60s muscle car, 50s era car. Because my generation doesn't care about 50s era cars. We don't care about rat rods like our generation before. Will they still exist? Absolutely. Are they gonna be the number one thing of going across the block anymore? Absolutely not, and that is my opinion. The next generation, like mine, is going to want the Supras, the GTRs. We're going to want those cars. Unlike the Camaros, Chevelles of the years past, the cars we really want are all rare. So, perspective, from 1967 to 1969, Chevrolet Camaro sold 880,000 cars. 3 years, 880,000 cars. My Toyota Supra Mark IV, whether it be turbo, non-turbo, automatic, manual, from 1993 and a half, yes, they started it as a 93.5, so we call it a 93 and a half. From 93 and a half till 2002, which is in Japan, worldwide, every single one ever sold was 44,000. 44,000 in almost 10 years. 3 years, 880,000. Which one's worth more? Sorry guys, like I know it seems to piss a lot of people off, but there's a reason why the market's going up on them so much faster than you saw the other old classic cars, because there just isn't that many of them. And of those there, a lot of them were sold or crashed. The Japanese didn't take care of their cars like we do here in the US and like appreciate them and want to rebuild them. They saw them more as a throwaway vehicle. So the market's changing. And I really see that going. I mean, even perspective like that's a low production car. So we'll look at an R32 GTR, which was not extremely low production, and people are like, you're gonna think I'm crazy. Well, an R32 GTR, they sold 46,000 of those, just R32 GTRs, not the GTS, not the GTTs, not the four-door Skylines, just the R34 or R32 GTR. That's not counting R33s, 34s, nothing. Just the R32 GTR, they sold 46,000. They sold more R32 GTRs than they ever sold of total Mark IV Supras, period. It's insane. It's hard to explain it to people, and I know it's for some reason people get butthurt about facts. I'm like, I'm not trying to make you mad. I'm just telling you the facts. They sold less of these cars. They just didn't sell as well. People would rather in Japan rather had an R32 GTR, and everywhere else that didn't get that got the car. We didn't get them in the U.S. They just sold better. It was a better car. It was a good car. Realistically, the Mark IV Supra wasn't out at the time, but it killed the Mark III Supra in sales too. And again, that's just the GTR. I just see that market exploding. And getting crazier and crazier. Another perspective is the high-end market right now is low and the low-end market is high. And that's probably confusing the heck out of you, so let me explain. When I mean high-end market, so you guys saw the high-end like Supras and GTRs selling, and they still are here and there, but that high-end market, there's $100,000, $150,000 Supras aren't selling like crazy like they were there for a while. They're there, but they're not selling, and I see some of the prices coming down. They're leveling out some. But the low-end market, so the cars that were at 15, 20,000 are now up around 30, 35. And you're probably wondering, why is that? So the people wanting to get into like the NA Supras and stuff, and the people that want a Supra are trying to get in at that lowest cost possible. So everyone's trying to get into a Supra as low as possible. It's pushing up the price. You know, you got, say, 1,000 people trying to buy a $20,000 Supra versus 5 guys trying to buy a $100,000 Supra. See where I'm getting at here? So there's way more people wanting a small market. So it's pushing up the prices there in general. I just tried to help my friend Colton find a Supra. By the time this posts, he'll be talking about it. So congratulations, Colton. He just found a red Supra up in Connecticut. We were searching there for about 2 weeks, and I was able to hook him up with my buddy Matt Calderon. Hope I didn't butcher his last name. And they were able to work something out. And for that even, it was almost $30,000. I think it's a 2-owner car though. which makes it nice, but it's still over 100,000 miles, like 130,000 mile car for an NA 5-speed car. The market's just insane, especially for left-hand drive Supras. R34 GTRs, of course, are insane. The NSX market is insane. If you want to get into a good JDM car right now and you don't want to spend a ton of money, 300ZX, 3000 GT, RX-7 FD. For some reason, those cars haven't really taken off yet. The market's going up on them and they're costing more, don't get me wrong, but they're not insane like the Supra and GTR market is. They're just not. It's just not the same. But the market in general is going up. Look at the Civics, clean Civic SIs, going for good money. Integra Type Rs, going for good money. And it's only going to get worse because it's a finite amount of cars that were made. And as time goes on, those cars are withering away or getting destroyed, or, you know, someone who doesn't know, they're just parting them out, especially once you get higher mileage. It used to be not that long ago, you know, say 10, 15 years ago, if a Supra really got wrecked, you would just scrap it and just get another one. They were still cheap enough to get one. I mean, this car was $11,000 back then, my car personally. At the same time, a guy tried to sell me a TT Auto with KW coilovers and a couple bolt-ons and stuff for $17,000. I'm like, screw that, about have a manual, I'll just swap it later on. You gotta remember too, engines were really cheap back then. Everything was just cheaper. And a 6-speed was going for 22 to 25, and I just didn't have that money. So the market's totally changed. I mean, a 6-speed car is just not like that anymore. Any 6-speed car is gonna be over $50,000. And if they are below $50,000, they have issues. They are higher mileage. There's something there that you don't know about. There's a good reason for it. So I just wanted to give you guys that perspective. I think the hardest people to convince realistically are people that either one, don't understand Japanese cars. Number two, people that are mad they didn't buy the car, so they try to justify not buying one of the cars because they couldn't afford it or they just didn't think it would go up. Just like anything, just like the same people that get mad at people that invest and like, that's stupid, why would you do that? Same thing with Bitcoin, people get mad at them, and then got friends that made a bunch of money that did that. 9 times out of 10 it's because there's people who are jealous or angry because they didn't get in. It's not our fault that you didn't do that. That's, I mean, whatever, man, not a big deal, but I see it a lot, unfortunately. And then lastly, it comes down to people just not understanding the market and just watching trends over the years. I mean, this is not like a big surprise. Like, I've been talking about this for a while, and like everyone always kind of laughs. And now recently, I see people starting to finally agree with me. I've been reiterating this for years, because I'm like, this isn't anything new, guys. This is nothing special. Like, it's been going this way for years upon years upon years. It was the 1920s, 30s cars. Then it was the 40s, 50s cars, and 60s, 70s cars, which is still very prominent right now. The 50s, 40s are there too, but they're not selling like they used to. The 60s, 70s are booming right now. The 80s are starting to pick up, and 90s are definitely starting to pick up now too. My generation is definitely getting there. I'm on the younger side of that generation. So, you know, I got friends in their 40s now. You know, my buddy Sean, who comes over here. He's got a GSX, he's 45 years old, you know. Before you know it, he'll be, 15 more years, he'll be 60, right? And then you really got some serious cash, and they're like, look, I want to buy my dream car. I know for him, he wants a 3000 GT. Maybe by then, the 3000 GT is well over 100,000. Maybe he'll spend that kind of coin. I don't know, but that's the kind of things that are going to happen, you know. You're like, I only get to live once, I want to buy this dream car of mine. And that's where it comes into, people making emotional buys later in life. Same reason people go and buy Corvettes. I'm not a Corvette guy, but I get it. You know, that's their dream car, and it's the American dream of vehicles, I would call it, and people buy them. So I wanted to make that video. I think I made something close to this or similar to before, but it just seems like people don't understand, and I just want to be able to send this to them like, guys, listen, this is what's happening. Take a step back. I know a lot of people's emotions are running right now. A lot of people talk about Motor X cars too. And they say, what's legal to import right now when it comes to R34s? That's another big debate. So when people say import, to me, that's bringing them in. There is Motor X cars, right? Motor X. You guys know there, you're probably too young. I remember being at my first email address was actually motorx22@hotmail.com. I don't even know where that's at now, so someone has that, but that was a Hotmail account, so it tells you how old it is. My first email account was that, but Motor X was a company that legally imported R32s, R33s, the 34s, and a few other Japanese cars too, but that was their big seller. They had crash test an R33 back in the day, and that's what they were using to say that, hey, we crash test these cars. Technically, under federal law, they not only had to crash test that, but they should have to crash test the R32, R34, and any other vehicle that they brought in that was under the 25-year rule, and they didn't. So technically, the only legal car they could have brought in was the R33. On top of that, they were supposed to put crash bars in them, do all that fun work, and it turned out they did that at first, and then towards the end, they said, screw it. My buddy John Purdue has an R32, a Motor X one, and it actually has the work done. It has the crash bars inside. Unfortunately, what they had to do to make it to US spec, they had to drill holes in the rear quarters and the front bumpers, I believe. Yes, the front bumpers to put the turn lights in, the side signals that we have here in the US, but they never had that in Japan. It's still, and they're random too, like they're just little round dots on it, just enough, but it doesn't look right. You can tell it's like not supposed to be there, and it always kind of cracks me up. So I always found that kind of funny. But Motor X cars are 100% legal. They grandfathered in all the R32s, the 34s, all that stuff, so they're all federally legal. But that was 2001 and a half, 2002 is really when it ended for sure. But those cars all got grandfathered in. If you're going to bring in an R34 today, if it is not show and display, it must be an R34 Midnight Purple 2, not a 3, not an R33 Midnight Purple 1. It has to be a Midnight Purple 2 R34. Why that is, I have no idea. It doesn't make any sense to me. Not the Millennium Jade, which is even rarer. I don't know why, but those ones can be brought in fully legal. Doesn't make much sense to me. I know Rivsu had done some, and I believe another company has recently just did that also. A little weird to me, but hey, whatever you got to do. I think it's very interesting. I'd love to own one of those cars. I think they're neat. Personally, I think the NSX is a better car than an R34. That's my opinion. But yeah, right now that's the only cars you could have brought in. So when people ask, you know, that's another weird gray market thing too. But I see the market really trending up. They're just going to keep getting rarer and rarer, guys, whether you want to face it or not. There's just a finite amount of them. More people want them now than ever. And that's why my insurance on these cars are sky high. My wife's Supra will be done here soon, and we'll have 2 left-hand drive Supras, which is unheard of. I never thought in my life I'd have 1 Supra, let alone 2 here at the house. And if I could really have my way, I'd probably have a Viper next. Or if I had some really extra cash, I'd buy an NSX. But yeah, that's probably not good. Sorry guys, had to have a little bit of a change there. The battery died in this, and I got a shower and things changed here. But that's that, guys. I just wanted to go over it. Let me know down in the comments below what you guys think. What are your opinions on all this? Again, this is how I see it going. If you look at trends, don't just listen to me. Look at the trends from the market from years past. I mean, it's just going down that same path. If you feel otherwise, let me know. I'm looking for feedback on this because there's other people out there that have been doing this longer who maybe even know the market better. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys very much for tuning in today. If you like this video, do me a big favor and give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you later. Peace.